Hey guys, so today I want to talk to you a little bit about divisibility rules. The reason we want to talk about this is because it helps us with simplifying fractions and finding equivalent fractions. So the specific rules we're going to talk about are if numbers are divisible by 2, so I want you to get a highlighter and highlight that. Then I want us to talk specifically about if numbers are divisible by 5. And lastly, if numbers are divisible by 10. These are the three rules that we're going to focus on today. Now let's talk a little bit about each rule. The rule for if a number is divisible by 2 is if the last digit is even, like 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0, then it is divisible by 2. Here's an example. 724, 4 is in the ones place. So 4 is an even number, so 724 is divisible by 2. Here's a non-example. 423, 3 is an odd number, so 423 is not divisible by 2. The 5 rule and the 10 rule are very similar. So the 5 rule is if the number ends with a 5 or a 0, it's divisible by 5. An example is 45. 5 is in the ones place. It's the last digit. And so 45 is divisible by 5. Okay? And if you know your facts, you know that 9 times 5 is 45. 92 is not divisible by 5 because it has 2 in the ones place. Now, is it divisible by 2? Yes, but it is not divisible by 5. Lastly, the 10 rule, if the number ends with a 0, it's divisible by 10. So 7,200 is divisible by 10, which means I can divide 7,200 by 10 and have no remainder. Here, 4,258 is not divisible by 10 because it has an 8 in the last digit's place. Only if it's a 0. If I divide 4,258 by 10, I'm going to get a remainder. It's not going to be even. Now your assignment today is the first step is to cut this out. Be sure to leave the title. So you're going to cut around and you're going to glue this into the next page of your interactive notebook. Now the next thing after that you're going to do is you're going to practice some divisibility rules for 2, 5, and 10. So the next thing we're going to do is this right here. And the only numbers I want you to focus on are, of course, the ones we just talked about. 2, 5, and 10 only. So these columns 3, 4, 6, 8, and 9 will be left blank. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of the numbers that I want you to do, and if you'll just follow the directions of you just decide if they're divisible by 2, 5, and 10 and put a check in that box. Okay, the next piece of your assignment, if you get to it, is another way to practice divisibility of 2, 5, and 10. So you'll need crayons for this, and you'll just read the directions, okay? So it says if it's divisible by 2, you color it orange. If it's divisible by 5, you put a yellow star on the number. If it's divisible by 10, then you mark it with an X. Please note, some of these numbers are divisible by 2 and 5 and 10. So that means that you're probably going to color some orange and put a yellow star on the same one and put an X on the same one. An example would be 9,000. It's divisible by 2 because it has a 0, an even number, in the last digit's place. It's also divisible by 5 because it has a 0 in the last digit's place. Lastly, it is also divisible by 10 because it has a 0 in the last digit's place. So this is an example of one of the numbers that will be colored orange and have a yellow star and be marked with an X. And that's okay. That's all right to have some of those.